Wow. We have here what's called the young and the old. What you gonna do? This is the iTech show. For those that are unfamiliar, we started this thing with one need in mind, that many people hear and read about the Israeli tech scene, but not many people actually see the faces behind the tech scene. And we figured, why not? Let's give people a window into Israeli tech. And so that's how we created the iTech show. I actually think that I snapped about the need for such a show, and Microsoft Israel, where we are right now, in the game room of Microsoft Israel R&D, stepped up and said, let's build you a studio, let's do this. And so we've had 4 episodes so far where we bring an industry leader, we talk about the tech news, and we were doing startup spotlights, which will continue in the future. Today, we're actually going to be interviewing a legend. And we're going to be doing some tech news. He's embarrassed when I call him that. But he is. He's an amazing guy and a humble guy. That's what's most important. That's what I like. It's people that do great things and maybe don't know that they do great things. Anyway, so we're going to start with possibly the tech news here. And like every episode, the challenge was choosing the tech news to talk about because we are on fire in Israel. And, you know, I think I was in Silicon Valley a couple of weeks ago, and really everyone's talking about Israel. I mean, I literally visited, you know, Facebook. I visited all the top tech companies, Twitter, and everyone is very highly familiar with what's going on in Israel in terms of the tech scene, and it's really cool to see. And you know, every quarter when we break kind of records and funding, the press was like, "You can't sustain this. You can't keep it up." And guess what happens the next quarter? That's right, we beat that record. And these last 2 months are no different. In November. By the way, a huge shout out. I have to give a huge shout out. He's in the credits of this show, but I have to give a huge shout out to Adam Benayoun, a good friend of mine who's kind of my tech guy. And so he actually prepares us the tech news every time. All this tech news that you're hearing is him preparing us a list of all the big announcements. And so I really, despite the fact that he's in the credits of the show, I really did want to give him a shout out. So Nir, you're awesome. Nir is the man. If you ever have any tech gadgets questions, he's the guy to speak to. But here's this. Listen to this number. In November, how much money do you think Israeli startups raised? Remember, this is a country the size of New Jersey. This is a country surrounded in all directions by enemies that don't like us very much. And we kind of have all the excuses in the book to just chill and be like, whatever, I can't change the world. There's too many challenges here. You know, unstable, the geographical region is super unstable. How much money do you think was raised in November by Israeli startups? 50 million? 20 million? 75 million? 100 million? Keep going. 150? 200? No. 300, are you sitting down? 75 million, $375 million raised in 1 month alone by Israeli startups, which is phenomenal. But that's not as phenomenal as what I'm about to tell you. The money flowing into Israeli companies is coming in all directions. And, you know, there are the small VCs and angels that are investing locally. There are the big VCs. There's Asian money. It's coming in all directions. And I want to just name a few of the big kind of, you know, pieces of news that we've seen over the last couple of months. You guys have all heard of the whole, you know, ride-sharing economy, all the Ubers and the Gets and the, you know, Lyfts and all those guys. So Get is a monster of a company, obviously an Israeli company. They were originally called Get Taxi. They raised $100 million, and they kind of joined the whole ride-sharing, carpooling, you know, extravagant. I mean, this is what everyone's talking about right now. All the big companies are doing it, and Get is there too. That's really interesting. But I really want to talk about, over the last couple of days, I should say, some mega, and I cannot say mega enough times, rounds into Israeli companies. 2 specifically that I should say are close to my heart. One of them, let's start with the smaller one, because they're smaller, but which is, you know, it's funny because we're talking about a $33 million round into Lemonade, a company that many have said is doing what Uber did to transportation to insurance. If you think about insurance, right, it's one of the most primitive spaces and industries out there. And I saw, you know, I met with Shai, the founder, and Daniel, and Shai gave me a little sneak peek into the app of what they're doing. And I mean, it takes out all the pain from insurance. It's phenomenal. And you know, it's lower pricing, but forget that. You can literally get an insurance policy in a matter of minutes and make a claim in a matter of minutes. And so they actually raised just now $33 million in a round that Google Ventures participated in. So it doesn't get much bigger than that, except that it does. House Party. You might remember a company that was making a little bit of noise called Meerkat. Before that, they were called Air. And before that, they were called Yevo. Yeah, this is actually the 4th iteration of this company, literally. Yevo, then Air, then Meerkat, and now they're called House Party. And House Party's metrics, their growth, is like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, if you open up the App Store, the US App Store, they're in between Facebook and Snapchat. Seriously, they're above Facebook in the ranking. So Ben Rubin is the founder and CEO, and I don't use this word lightly, but he's kind of a legend. And so, how many companies do you know that pivoted 4 times successfully? So House Party's growing at insane speeds. They just raised, are you sitting down, $50 million. And they have the biggest names on board here. We're talking Sequoia. It doesn't get much bigger than that, which is phenomenal because when a company pivots once, it's like, I don't know, are they stable? Then they pivot twice. It's like, I don't know if I want to go near there. If I'm a VC, it's kind of like a big red flag. 3 times, not going near that. 4 pivots, $50 million from Sequoia. I mean, that's how big their growth is. That's how rapid their growth is, it's just crazy. Another company that I was in touch with from the early days, Hear Me Out. It's also an audio, like my own startup, Zcast. It's also an audio platform. They raised $5 million. These are just off the top of my head, some last couple of days. But in November, we had Infinity AR. Obviously, AR and VR is, those 2 spaces are super hot right now. Mixed reality, Magic Leap made a lot of news recently. May I vent a little bit? May I rant? Am I allowed to rant on this show? I'm ranting. Magic Leap raised $1.5 billion from Google, Amazon, and Alibaba. $1 billion with a B. Their valuation is $4.5 billion, and they have not launched a product yet. There's something going on here, right? That seems a little crazy. And what that says to me is that they're onto something, because the people that have seen the Magic Leap demo, including Andreessen Horowitz, Benedict Evans, and obviously Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz, are blown away. They say it's, I think Benedict Evans he tweeted and he said, the last time he was this amazed by a product was when the first iPhone was announced. So obviously they built something truly remarkable, and yet all these haters are coming out now. The Information put out a piece saying, it's all hype and all the videos they put out are fake. You know what? I don't like the haters. Wait to see what they release. It just upsets me on a personal level. Rant over. Anyway, moving along. So we have Infinity AR, a company that was founded in Israel. Moshe Chogeg, Singularity Team invested. They just raised $18 million. I believe Alibaba, the big beast of a company, Alibaba participated. Alibaba participated in Infinity AR, I think. Alibaba participated. We got Logs.io, $16 million. I'm just reading here some of the funding because literally the list is never ending. Singular raised $15 million. It goes on and on. API Fix, $5 million. One of the big pieces of news, I think, at least for me, who's a big fan of Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz. I'm reading Ben Horowitz's book right now, by the way. Highly recommended. But Mark Andreessen is, I would say, probably the top VC right now in the space. He's invested in all the big companies, but he also kind of invented the web browser. He's kind of a legend. And he doesn't make that many investments in Israel, but he just invested in a company called Rapid API. He participated in a $3.5 million round, which is a small round. Having said that, I think it's a significant statement that Mark Andreessen is even looking at Israel. And I think that ties back all the time. It all ties back to the fact that there's something really unique in the water here. By the way, the Rapid API founders are kids. I think he's 18, the founder. The whole team, probably together, is my age. Not really. Slightly exaggerating. But anyway, SafeDK raised $3.5 million. Filter raised $4 million. It just goes on. And that's just on the investment side. Then we have acquisitions. A company that actually, again, is close to my heart is Huawei, where I participate in their influencer program. I like the company a lot. I think they're worth $75 billion. And they're kind of under the radar. I mean, they're not in Asia, but at least in America they are. And they actually acquired Toga Networks, their first Israeli acquisition. Again, huge statement from Huawei, the beast of a company that's surpassing all the mobile manufacturers, including Samsung, including everyone. Acquired an Israeli company. Super interesting. Iron Source acquires Israeli startup Warrantier, $4.5 million. I've been friends and been following Warrantier since the early days. Really awesome to see as well. We talked about Get, and we talked about the numbers, raised unbelievable numbers. Intel inaugurates a $6 billion chip production line in Israel, the big Intel. The bottom line is it's really across the board, and what's really interesting to see is that kind of everything that happens in the tech world in general, Israel is somehow involved in one way or another, whether it's the manufacturing of the chips or whatever it is, and it's really exciting times, and I don't think we're not showing any signs of slowing down. That's what's really, really interesting. In terms of Asian participation in Israeli tech, we have all the big beasts of Asia, right? The Baidus of the world, the Alibabas of the world. They're acquiring companies, they're investing in companies, and I think that to me that at least says something that's even more significant than kind of the Silicon Valley elite of the Sequoias and the Andreessen Horowitzes, because I don't know, I guess culturally we're closer, but China, right? It's another world out there, and Huawei's involved, and they're all here. So it's very, very interesting and exciting. So I think I just gave you a little bit of a kind of taste of what's going on here in Israel. And on that note, I'm going to invite our guest to join me here. I'm going to introduce him. His name is Adam Benayoun. And, I've known Adam probably, I would say, 5-6 years, something like that. He was an entrepreneur. He had a company called BinPress, which he sold. I was in touch with him back then. What amazes me about a lot of people, by the way, I should say, in the Israeli tech ecosystem, but very much so about Adam, is that he's kind of a hotshot. He's 500 startups, if you're not familiar. Dave McClure, he's kind of a brand name in tech. He really is. And I told this story earlier, and a lot of people have heard about it, but when Dave McClure came to Israel, he went to visit Gaza. He wanted to see startups in Gaza, and he got stuck at the border Friday afternoon. And of course, he turned to Twitter and he tweeted and said, "I'm stuck here on the border." And so the entire Israeli ecosystem kind of like activated itself. Eden Shochat from Aleph. And you know what? I'm going to take a break from, sorry, forgive me, this is my ADD, but I did forget to give Eden and Michael and Aaron a shout out, because we talked about Lemonade and we talked about House Party. Those are two Aleph companies that are now being, funded by Google Ventures and by Sequoia. So clearly they're doing something right. So that's just side point. Anyway, so Dave McClure is kind of like a brand name. He's a legend, an amazing guy. And clearly he needed to be here. Obviously, 500 startups is all over the world. How many locations? Wait, I'll ask you questions in a second. They're all over the world. And so they needed to be here. And so he took what is, in my opinion, one of the top guys in this ecosystem, my friend Adam Benayoun, to be their venture partner on the ground here. And when I heard the news, I was ecstatic, super awesome. And I know that you've met and funded some amazing entrepreneurs. Even, how long have you been in 500 startups?
As a venture partner, about a year and 2 months.
A year and 2 months, and you've already funded some companies. We're going to talk about it, but I want you to just give me an overview of how this whole thing happened, what you do at 500 Startups as a venture partner, and where are you going with this? What part does Israel play in the whole kind of strategy? Talk to me.
Okay, so basically 500 Startup is a VC that is running out of Mountain View in San Francisco. So basically,
sorry for interrupting you.
Valley. Yeah.
If you guys can't hear either one of us, by the way, give me some feedback. I'm reading the comments as he speaks. And if you can't hear us or if it's too low, let me know. Continue, sorry.
I can shout if you want.
Go on, we're with you.
So we're a VC operating out of the Valley. We have several seed programs and Series A program around the world in more than 10 locations.
Wow.
We've funded more than 1,600 or maybe 1,700. I don't count them anymore.
You've funded 1,700 companies?
Yeah, around.
Wow.
In more than 60 countries.
Amazing.
Here in Israel, I think the count is about 18. Out of the 18, I've funded about 11 in the last year.
Are they all public information?
Yeah.
Can you name them off the top of your head right now?
So one of them is Rapid API.
Oh, that's right. You guys were in we talked about Rapid API, the company that just raised from Andreessen Horowitz.
Yeah.
You guys funded them. How old's the founder? 18, 19?
I think 18, 19.
Phenomenal.
Like that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
So Rapid API was basically a seed program company. Seed program is the accelerator.
We got Hanan Brandon here, by the way. Just telling you some people we have in here. We have Aviv Frankel in here. Aviv from Channel 10. He's no longer Channel 10. We have some amazing people. You know the company Home Talk Networks in Jerusalem? Yep. Amazing company. So we have Tzipora, who's a developer. She works in networks, not Home Talk. She always kills me if I make that mistake.
With Hanan, I basically also co-invested in a company called User First. Really good company.
Hanan's the greatest.
Yeah. Cornerstone Ventures. So basically, we've invested in 11 companies. You asked earlier in how many countries we are currently. I think we're about 20 countries.
Wow.
With boots on the ground.
Unbelievable.
And Israel is obviously a very strategic place for 500 Startup.
Okay, talk to me. 11 companies. Give me the names, can you?
Yeah. Rapid API, Test Ferry, User First.
Wait, slow down. Test Ferry?
Yeah.
The Test Ferry? Yair Baron? Mm-hmm. Proud advisor. I love Yair. Amazing company that's in the testing space. One might say cross-platform test flight, kind of?
Yeah.
A little bit like that? Amazing.
Well,
Yair's the greatest.
They're doing way more than that now. They're about to launch more tools. So,
who else?
So basically, Test Ferry.
Oh, we got Mickey in here. Mickey from Rapid API's in here. Hey, Mickey, what up? We were just talking about you. Okay, go on.
So yeah, you got to stop interrupting me.
It's called ADD. How many coffees do you have today?
One.
I'm gonna have to 2 and a Red Bull. So.
Miss User First, Upfront. I don't remember all of them.
11 companies, a lot of companies in 1 year. That's unbelievable. What's the process? Walk me through the process.
So the process is basically you reach out to me or you reach out to Amir Gelman or any one of the people that I trust, and you send me a deck. I look at it. If I think it's interesting to us, I'll usually take a call first, and then I'll take a meeting. What we're looking at, so we're looking for companies that basically have 3 things, very basic thing for us. One is strong team, but very well-balanced team. So we're looking for engineering, we're looking for product and user experience, and we're looking for marketing and operations skill set within the team. The second, we're looking for product. We usually don't invest pre-product. We always invest in product.
Define product. Prototype or product?
Could be a prototype as well.
Okay.
So an MVP, anything that could be, that I could play with. And the third is basically validation. So validation is highly subjective. It could be, an LOI, it could be, some user paying for it, or 50K MRR if it's a crowded market. What we're looking for is basically a product that has been built for someone that is willing to pay for it. It's not your mom, sister, or friends.
Okay, but is revenue a requirement?
It's not really a requirement, but it's a proxy for a lot of other stuff. So sometimes it's a proxy for product market fit. So I don't have any partner. I'm not looking at a very specific thing in startups. I'm very open-minded in a way that I try not to fall into patterns.
You asked me not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But there's only very few people since you asked me not to interrupt you, there are only few people that I would interrupt you for. Mm-hmm. But Shuli Galili just came in here. Mm-hmm. She's one of them.
Hello, Shuli.
Hey, Shuli and Ori Goshen. We have amazing people in here listening to you. All right, sorry, go on.
It's highly subjective. So sometimes I've invested in a company pre-revenue. I've invested in a company that's making shitload of money. So it's really dependent on the company.
What kind of checks do you write?
Anything between 50 to 250K.
Interesting.
First check, and then we'll do follow-on up to $1 million.
Wow. What would you say from first intro to check in the bank? How long is that process?
I'd love for that process to be like as short as possible. I've agreed to terms within 2 days with the company. And some company took about 3 weeks because there were a lot of terms to negotiate.
I love how 3 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, 3 weeks is a long time.
That's like a joke.
Look, 3 weeks for me is a long time because I'm an entrepreneur, so I know how precious the time is for entrepreneurs. The other thing I want to do is drag the process at a very early stage, the seed stage, where basically entrepreneurs should be executing and not, fundraising.
Right.
So I'm trying to give them money at a fair valuation. I'm not too sensitive, and I'm looking at the valuation in a way as a proxy to where the company is at right now. And that's it. That's pretty much, how I'm looking at it.
We have a comment here from Roy from Samsung. He said, I love it that the VC wears a hiking jacket while the entrepreneur wears a blazer. Yeah, man. That's what it's all about in this country.
I'm not a VC.
Yeah,
I'm an entrepreneur with a checkbook.
I was just about to say that, by the way. I was actually literally just about to say that. I think that, there are other people that fit this description, but not many. That, as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of entrepreneurs get a little frustrated or lot frustrated when they go to a VC, they go through 6 months of due diligence, and then, they either, get disqualified from the funding because of some whatever technical reason, and the person that the VC that they're interacting with has never built a company, has never been an entrepreneur, has never felt the pain of building a company, and I think you have, and so that makes you, in my book at least, more qualified than 90%, or not 90, but 75% of the VCs in this country that, just have never really done it. And I can tell you that I've, been an advisor at startups for years, but I actually have my own startup now, and it's a different ballgame. I mean, it's a different ballgame. And so, that's really, really awesome. And just tell me about how you view, let's say, for example, hardware versus software. Do you guys do hardware? Do you stay away from hardware?
So we're trying to fund mostly software companies. We do some hardware. So we did, I'm trying to remember the name, Lockitron. Basically locks. So we did some hardware. It's very hard to do hardware nowadays. You have to have some relationship with Chinese manufacturers. You have to have a lot of money to fund a lot of that hardware. So mostly myself personally, I'm looking for maybe 95% software, and the 5% will be hardware with a very heavy software component.
Okay, so we have a question from Tsipora. You've expressed awareness recently of the problem of unemployment that can result from jobs being automated away.
Yeah.
How do you think this problem differs between Israel and the USA? And what do you think? This is a long comment. I got to hit C more. My goodness. Holy cow.
She actually had three questions.
And what do you think possible solutions could include? What's your favorite thing to cook? What? Okay. Do you cook? Are you a cook?
Yeah.
Oh, did you know that about him? Is that like a thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was a restaurant manager.
Okay,
one
well,
time
this is like she has like 75 questions here. You made the transition from entrepreneur to venture capital a little more than a year ago. What are the most important things you've learned from this side of the table? And if you were to pick one of your investments to go and work of instead of investing in, which would it be? I doubt you can answer that last question, but what's your favorite thing to cook? What's the biggest lesson you learned from this side of the table? And how does the unemployment thing differ between Israel and America?
I just cooked broccoli with coconut cream.
You gonna bring me any?
It's amazing. No.
Haven't the Jews suffered enough? Where's my food? Sorry.
What did I learn from being on the other side of the table? I gotta say that I learned a lot of things, but I'm still processing. So I'm very young in this industry, so I don't have anything very concrete to say right now. The only thing is, when I was on the other side, I was always blaming, the industry and everyone. Oh my God, I can't fundraise. It's really hard. People won't give me money. It's because because of the industry or whatever. Now I understand that probably 99.99% of the time that was my fault. Mostly because I wasn't really good at explaining why the market, why
That's because you
now.
didn't have lunch in too long. You
Yeah.
should have had lunch, man.
And so now I have the other perspective. I understand exactly what a VC is looking for. So if tomorrow I'm going to go and raise money for my own startup, I'll be able to really, pitch my company to a point where, I could actually play out,
Tell me
investors.
more. Tell me more. I'm a startup. I have a startup.
Yeah.
Right? What what investors want? What do they want? Tell me.
I think they want to know, the basic is they want to see a great team, right? Because a great team trumps everything.
Oh, you can't say Trump anymore. You
Okay,
can't say
I'm
that
sorry.
anymore. It's a dirty word.
All right. So a great team will
Beat
basically
everything.
Beat everything. Yeah.
Okay.
A great team will beat everything. You've mentioned House Party. It's a great team, right? They've done 4 pivots. I'm getting goosebumps just to say that because I know most people will actually,
We've gone home a long time ago.
yeah, like the second pivot. That's it. Well, trying to glow.
But Ben Rubin is one of a kind. There's no. I don't know any entrepreneurs.
So
like
you
Ben
want
Rubin.
to you want to invest in the one of the kind,
Right.
Founders, right? It's really hard to know what one of the kind when you invest at the seed stage, which is why you make more investment. By the way, that's our investment test. It's making a lot of investment, spreading the risk over a lot of company, diversifying.
Can I just interrupt you one more time?
Yeah.
You forgive me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Mitch Schneider's in here. One of the funding stories that I actually skipped over because there were just too many is Beamer. This company, JPEG Mini, they have a thing that it's like Pied Piper.
Oh,
It's literally Pied Piper in real life. It literally shrinks, it lowers the size, the weight of the picture, but it doesn't lower the resolution. So Mitch, I think, is celebrating his 3 years there. He just came in, so I had to give him a shout out. And Itamar Weisbrod from DeepLink, another phenomenal Israeli company, is in here. Itamar, sorry to go off topic here. It's ADD, man. We all, whatever.
it's okay. I'm going to close the brackets when we.
Yeah, just remember where you
Back to
were.
Mike.
So Itamar, just give him a shout out. Itamar, I think it's an interesting company called DeepLink.me that.
Itamar.
Yeah,
There's-
Itamar.
There's a good story about it.
Oh, you tell the story.
You made an introduction, right?
Yes.
And I literally was looking at the deck, and then the day after, I was at Chatbot Summit, and then I was waiting for my cab. I literally ordered a cab, and then someone stopped in front of me with his car. I was like, Adam? I was like, yeah, I'm Itamar. It's like, oh,
That's funny.
and then he gave me a ride, pitched me,
That's awesome.
but never follow up. Itamar, you have to follow up.
Oh my, Itamar, you are in big trouble with your marketing advisor. And I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think they're a really, really interesting company. And this is another kind of a company of resilience. It shows resilience because he's dedicated his life to it for quite a while. He's made several pivots. And what they're doing really is like, what Google did to the web. I don't mean to sound too excited and overly whatever, but what Google did to the web is they indexed the web. They took all the links and they made a database of links and then thereby monetized them through advertising and other things. So that's what Itamar is doing with mobile apps. Deep linking. If you think about linking on mobile, right? If you click on a link to Amazon, so it will open up the Amazon app, but it won't jump you in. Why not? Because not every page on an app has a URL, has a www dot something. And so Itamar is kind of creating that mechanism where you can deep link and jump into specific places in apps. And obviously the ramifications are cross-vertical. I mean, whether it's advertising or a million different things that you can do with that. And so I think it's a really interesting company, but I'm not objective because he's a good friend of mine and I am an advisor. So anyway, please continue.
Okay, so we'll close the bracket. You asked basically what VCs are looking for in startups. So we said exceptional founders. The second is basically big markets, because in big markets, if you make a lot of mistakes, you're going to end up with a big product. And the product itself, right? And why now? The timing is very important. Some company have done things. Look at this, right? There was the Google Glass and now the Spectacle, and people are like amazed by the Spectacles.
7-hour waits in New York to get these things.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So there are many things that VCs are looking for, and the thing to understand also is that different VCs are looking at different things.
Know your audience.
Yeah, yeah. So
100%.
when you pitch a VC, you want to know what are the company they've investment in and what they care about. And the most important thing is to tell a story. Be very...
Nailed it. So I actually I was about to interrupt you again, but I didn't. I controlled myself. See that? There you go. But I was going to say that I always kind of like tell startups when it comes to fundraising, you have 10 seconds at the beginning of the meeting to get that VC or investor or journalist for that matter to nod their head. How do you do that? If you come in and you start talking about your algorithms and the metadata, it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Or if you come in and you say like, you know how you landed yesterday and in the airport and you're afraid you're going to lose your luggage? And I'm like, yeah, I know that problem. I'm nodding my head. Now you say, we cracked that. Now you captured my curiosity. I'm curious. Tell me more. Now you can talk about your go-to-market, how much money you need, etc. But first, tell a story. Tell me a story. Don't talk to me about what you built. Don't talk to me about how you built it. Tell me why you built it. Why do I care?
And if you have traction, and if you have a lot of traction, lead with that. Usually, when I get pitched, I only have like 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then at the very last second, they say, "Oh, we're doing like $3 million a year." It's like, "Oh, that's good."
Yeah. So that's the second rule that I tell. I literally have 2 rules that I tell startups. One is get the person to nod their head. And the second one is focus on your home run. What's your home run? Is your product your home run? Is your traction your home run? Is your team? Focus on that. That is your main thing, because if I'm an investor or if I'm a journalist and you tell me that you have 4 triples, you have an okay product, you have okay traction, okay team, I'm not writing a check because I don't feel FOMO, right? I'm not afraid of missing out. But if you tell me, look, the guy who built Gmail joined my team, it's like, whoa, I want to get on that, right? Or I have 150,000 daily users and I only launched a week ago. It's like there's something going on here, right? So you're saying traction, but it's really true across the board. Whatever your home run is, focus on that. Okay, so you've expanded the team, right? The guy Amir, who was at the Junction before, is now part of your team. His role is what?
Yeah,
associate.
He's a principal. We don't really have title.
So what does that mean? He runs, he filters out the deal flow, etc.
Yeah, he sources the deal flow. He helps me with the deal flow. He's going to help me with something we're going to launch next year.
Ooh, teaser.
Gonna have to have me again in your show in order
Done.
to launch
Say no
this.
more.
And we're actually in the process of hiring more people. So if anyone want to work with me, send me an email.
Okay, so I don't know how, I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot here. Can you just share your email with people? Or you want them to send it to Amir? Or?
No, I can, ab@500.co.
That's AB, Adam Benayoun, at 500.co. That is like the best email address in the history of mankind.
Yeah, that's true.
That is amazing.
Very short and memorable.
So tell me about like your day-to-day, like how much, and again, if this is something that's confidential, you can just tell me, move on. But are you like, how much freedom do you have? Like how does 500 operate? Does Dave say to you, do your thing, or does he?
In a way, he says do things. In another way, I mean, I think what I like about Dave and 500 Startup is that they really empower people on the ground, so to give them incentive to and some freedom. Decision making is basically by myself. So I basically if I want to invest in someone, I'll invest. There's an investment committee that is comprised of Dave and Christine, basically the 2 founders of 500 Startup, that's just looking at a decision making, just to double check that we're not doing something stupid, which most of the time we're doing, and that's great because they give a lot of experience in that way. But if I want to invest in a company, I'll do it.
It's amazing.
That's basically why we can write small check really fast.
We have another shout out here. Sarah Snow is in here. You know Sarah Snow? She was at Glide before, and now she's at Wisdo.
Yep.
You know Wisdo?
Yep.
You need to know Wisdo. No. Like literally, hold the camera. Wisdo is like wisdom without an M. Wisdo. They're building like a timeline of wisdom, right? So life experiences, you can Google and find out information, but there are things you can only learn from people's experience. Phenomenal company. Google them afterwards. Enough said. So tell me what's next. Like, how do you see this thing in 2 years from now?
It's a good question. So I want to invest in 100 company in the next 3 to 5 years. 100 Israeli company. I think there's enough company that could be seeded. I want to help the ecosystem build the next generation of marketeers. So actually, when I told you we're going to launch something in 2017, there's no secret around it too much. We're basically building a boot camp for a company that are primarily early stage, but at the seed stage. So we're going to help those companies get product market fit and then grow from there. One thing that 500 Startup is really known at is helping with distribution and marketing and customer acquisition. And one thing that we found out in Israel is that a lot of companies don't get to those KPI that need to raise money. Usually they raise money at a much earlier stage in their life. But if they go to the valley, their counterpart will usually raise the same amount of money or maybe sometimes more money at a later stage, so when they have more KPI. So we want to make sure that those companies are aware what are the KPI around the world, how the VC, not only in Israel but also in the valley, are looking at those KPI and what type of product market fit they need to hit in order to raise the series or whatever. And that bootcamp will be basically a very focused way to get there. Give you the methodology, give you the framework on how to get there. We'll be taught by international mentors will be coming to Israel and some local mentors. And the thing is, what I like to say is it's not an accelerator. It's usually most of the accelerators are like a kind of a buffet. You come and you eat everything and then you throw up because it's too much knowledge. We want to be like a chef, a chef dinner.
Talking my language, it's good. Food is good. Well, on the air, I will say if you do need more mentors, I'm happy to participate in any way. You know where to find me. We're going to end the stream pretty soon, so if you have other questions for Adam, then do tell them. But I'm going to ask a very, very concrete question I think could help a lot of people. You see a lot of decks. You see probably, 10, 20 a day? Probably more?
Less than that.
10? 5?
I guess I see about 1,000 company a year.
Okay. So I want to know how many slides should be in a deck? What should they be?
Whew. It's a good question. So I love to see
Sorry, an investment deck is what we're talking about here. So just for those that might not know, investors, even if you have a close relationship, I make intros to Adam at least, I'd say once, twice a month. You got to send a deck because with all due respect to our relationship and my relationship with whoever, even, I literally this week must have sent 4 or 5 decks to Mark Andreessen, literally. And, for whatever reason, he likes me. I don't know why, but when I send him something, he knows he takes it pretty seriously usually. And he'll meet the company even if he's not going to invest, but he always wants a deck. Everyone wants a deck. And I've met a lot of entrepreneurs over the years, by the way, and this is actually frustrating for me. They'd say to me, just introduce me. I don't want to send a deck. You got to send a deck. Every startup needs an investor deck. I'm not saying you're always going to use it, but you need it. And so I want to hear from you, as a person who sees a lot of them, what should be in the deck?
Yeah, so the problem, the solution, which is basically your product, why now, the market size, usually in the market size or the total addressable market, I like to see bottom to top and not top to bottom. So basically, don't tell me that there is like a $250 billion market because some analysts at a research company have done this homework. Go and find sources and then add them up and then multiply them by the money you're currently making or other comparable company are making to come up with a number that is credible.
Okay.
The team.
Is this the order that you would say?
No, that's not the order.
It's not in order. Okay, go on.
That's not the order. I'd say less is better. Try to focus on why now, why you, and why this. And that's pretty much it. I mean,
someone said refuah shlema because I guess you hear me coughing. I'm a little bit under the weather. I apologize. Okay, what about like monetization? Should that be in the deck? How I'm going to make money?
Yeah, could be in the deck. I think it's you could have like another 2 or 3 slides that could explain monetization, distribution strategy is very important. So how do you get your customer and what
that should be in the deck?
Yeah, why not?
User acquisition strategy in the deck. Wow.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I agree that it should be, and I don't think I've ever seen.
I care about the user acquisition and distribution, so I want to see it. If it's not there, I'm going to ask the question in the email.
Interesting. Okay. So, like, to what resolution are we talking? Like, literally, how much I'm going to spend per user? And
No. The resolution is to understand, So, if you're in a crowded market or if you're in a market, I want to understand how you're thinking about getting your customer, how you're thinking about distributing your app. So if it's a B2C, so how do you distribute your apps? If it's a B2B, I want to understand what kind of strategy are you going to go with vendors? Are you going to go with affiliates? Are you going to go, sales, direct sales, indirect sales?
It's really awesome. So I think the only investor I've ever worked with in any capacity that asked me that question right from the beginning, and I loved it, was Ishar Shai Kanan. He's like, all right, I love the product. I love what you're doing. All right, how are you going to get users? And to me, that like made me, as an entrepreneur, focus in on the real stuff, not the fluff. That's great. Okay, so the bottom line is you're having a good time. That's what I'm getting from you. You're having a good time.
Yeah.
What's it like to work with Dave?
Yeah.
Dave's amazing, no?
Dave is amazing. Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. All right, when's he coming back to Israel? Do we know yet?
Probably every year. So he's here around September, usually around DLD.
Tell him not to go to Gaza, or not to get stuck in Gaza this time. Actually,
No, he's not going to get stuck in
He'll
Gaza
learn his
anymore.
lesson.
So the last time he was stuck in Gaza was because I think there was some sort of.
I think it was like Shabbat or something.
Rosh Hashanah
Oh, was it?
something.
It was
a
a holiday?
holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess he learned his lesson. We got some phenomenal people in here listening to this. I hope it provided value for you guys. This is way over the time that we said we were going to do, but he's an interesting guy. What do you want me to tell you? Listen, bottom line is, I just want to sum it up and say that, the reason, like I said in the beginning, we created the show is because everyone talks about Israeli tech. Everyone hears about Israeli tech. TechCrunch writes about Israeli tech every day. But how often do you see the faces, the people like Adam, who are actually funding this ecosystem and making it happen? And so I think I snapped about it and said, somebody's got to do some high quality video content. And Microsoft R&D, Geva Telem, who's sitting behind the camera, you can't see him, said, let's do it. And so he built the studio, and we've been doing it every couple of weeks. We took a little break, but we will hopefully continue to do it again. And maybe we'll change the format a little bit here and there. We'll tweak it. But your feedback is absolutely crucial. So let me know what you guys think, how we can tweak the format, how we can make it better, more valuable. That's the bottom line. That's the key word. How can this be more valuable to you? Meanwhile, thank you guys for coming in, for your questions. And Adam, keep rocking, man. Because it's amazing to have global names in this ecosystem. That's what keeps it going. And so 500 Startups is one of the biggest names out there. What are you guys, by the way? How do you define it? It's not a VC. What do you call yourselves?
We're calling ourselves VC.
Are
we're basically a seed fund operating seed and Series A programs. So programs are all around the world. We have pre-seed program, we have seed program, Series A program. They were the accelerator and the distro dojo, but we rebranded because we're not just an accelerator anymore.
Got it. Well, I hope you don't get too bombarded with emails, but he did offer ab@500.co, right? That's your email? Send him decks, but don't send him my long emails. Just literally send him write him. I saw the iTech show. I would love you to take a look at my deck, send it to him, and I can tell you, even though he said it, I can tell you from the side objectively that he really does answer every email, and he does see every deck, and he moves. They move really fast, which is unique. And I shouldn't say that. I don't want to insult people. A lot of investors in this country write checks, and kind of that's where it ends. That's where, for 500 startups, my impression is, when you write a check, that's where it begins.
Yeah.
So that's phenomenal and unique. And just keep doing what you're doing. And I can't wait to have you the next time on the next show when you're doing your boot camp. And like I said, if I can participate in that, awesome. For now, thank you guys for coming in, and see you again in hopefully 2 weeks.
Thank you.